Hey, we need to talk about some stuff. There's so many of you that all across the world, all across time, you guys have been, all of us, have been betrayed in some way or another. We've been betrayed, we've been abused, we have been abandoned and betrayed, we've been lied to, not just by external but internal forces as well. We have been manipulated in so many different ways. Do you have any idea how good these smell? This is a side note. I put them here earlier to bring in some happiness and sunshine, basically, and amplify that energy. It's just something easy you can do for yourself. Anyway, I'm going to share something really private with you. Not because I'm attempting, well, let me rephrase. I'm going to share something private with you and really painful that occurred in my life. Because I would like for you to know that what you're going through, you're not alone. You aren't someone that has been hurt in such a way that like you're alone in that pain. What happened to you, whatever it was, there are others who suffered too. I had been with the person who I had assumed or thought, part of me still believes it, or knows it rather, that he was my twin, the other part of me, of my soul. We spent a good 8 years together. We met in around 2011, I think. No, 2012, I think. Maybe it was 2011. Pretty sure he emailed me in 2011, and then we got engaged in 2012. On December 21st, 2012. We spent a good 8 years together. And then those 8 years, somehow, excuse me, I'm fine. I have a cat and her fur gets in my nose. Plus I'm sniffing these things and it's tickling my nose. We were together for 8+ years, and then somehow we were together for less than that. It was very strange, and I'm not going to get into that part of it. What I am going to get into is it was the most beautiful relationship as well as the most horrible relationship I've ever been in. I mean, the amount of pain I felt because of how much I loved and how much I hated myself and everyone around me, because everybody reminded me of what I didn't like about myself. So I blamed them and I pushed everybody away. I isolated myself. I was very rude and angry and like hot and cold. One second I'm completely, I was completely irrational and angry and replaying drama and pain and karma from people, like from ancestors and issues from my parents that I had seen from childhood growing up in my family in all sorts of ways, and the problems around the world from 1980 till now. Being an empath hasn't been easy, and it's no excuse. I didn't know how to handle myself, and I really did attempt to be better constantly. I taught myself about herbs and flowers and home remedies and crystals and cards and energy and vibration and the nervous system and the way the heart works and the way thoughts and imagination and the law of attraction works. I spent years finding a way to better myself from the age of 11, because in 1991, when the last time Saturn was in Aquarius, 29 years ago, we moved from Germany to the United States. And I was in a lot of grief back then. And it stuck with me for a while, because even in Germany and in the United States when we moved here, I was constantly being moved from home to home and school to school, constantly losing friends and changing family members, having to learn how to miss my grandparents and my parents, and learning how to be, a human being. What I didn't learn until very recently is how to let go gracefully, not of people or places or things, but of the blame I had within me towards them, when I was actually blaming myself for not being more intelligent, for not being just more better than I was. I was conscious enough to see the pain I was causing, but I wasn't conscious enough to stop myself from causing that pain. It was as if someone else was driving my car, my body, and I had no responses. I was acting from a place of reaction. Now, this wasn't 24/7. I mean, there's a balance of everything, even negative attitudes. There were great, beautiful, profound moments in my life. Life-changing events, near-death experiences, beautiful romances, so many amazing experiences from Germany and in the United States, and waking up in Indiana one day after a party and, living there for 6 months with friends. And then like picking up and going to New York for a day and then driving back, picking up and going to Canada. Like it was an amazing life. It still is. But I held on to a lot of pain. I wasted a lot of time that I could have spent with my family, but I spent it alone in isolation, because I didn't want to see what they were going to mirror back at me. I would yell at my partner, my twin, the Leo, constantly. For he would touch me and I would feel so unworthy of being loved that I would yell at him for touching me, and I would push him away and say, "Leave me alone." But all I needed and wanted was for him to hold me so much that I couldn't push him away anymore. He stood by my side for so many years. Every single thing I wanted, every childhood dream I had that never got manifested, he helped manifest it. There was a ceramic Christmas tree I had seen at JCPenney in 1992 or 93 when I was there with my uncle, and I was going to touch one of the lights that were glowing. They were little bird lights on a ceramic Christmas tree. And I had remembered it from then, because as soon as I went to touch the light, my uncle came and pulled me away, and he's like, "What are you doing here? We gotta go, come on." I was like 12 maybe, if even that. So when I told my partner at the time that story, within 7 days he had found a ceramic tree with all the birds, and it was in the living room. I had told him how much I loved the sound of a harp. Within a week or two, I had my own personal harp. I loved snow globes. He would come home with snow globes. He would bring flowers at first, and I'm like, "Please don't bring me flowers. They die and it makes me sad." So he started bringing me potted plants when he'd come home from work. If he was late, he would always stop by some grocery store and bring back like little trinkets and glass figurines. Or he'd bring home, food so I wouldn't have to cook, because I've had to cook my entire life for everybody around me. It's very rare for me to be offered a plate of food. And he did that. He didn't really know how to cook, but he tried. It was a great relationship. We had a lot of fun. The most amazing times we had where we were just sitting there in like a park bench, or just holding pinkies and driving around in the car having a cup of coffee. We didn't have to talk. We just knew what the other person was feeling and thinking, because we felt it and thought it. It was love. When we were irritated, we would look at each other, and we would just deal with issues that way. But the problems were arising when the issues that we had repressed and suppressed kept coming up. My self-esteem issues, my self-worth, the illnesses I was experiencing, the hormonal imbalances I had, the mental and mind damage and sabotage that was done to me. the damage to my blood that was done to me in 1980 to 1983, 3 years of being drained by blood in my body by medical professionals because there was something wrong with me back then, apparently, or supposedly. I was a very, I was a happy child for majority of my childhood, but I was constantly being tested to see how sick I am, how sick I'm not, what I'm doing, what I'm thinking. Am I depressed? Am I, doing good? Like, I'm barely 5 years old and I was going through all this, which really had me close my heart early on in life because I was in too much pain, and every time I was communicating with family, nobody wanted to listen to it. They were so much in pain at me being in pain that they didn't want to hear me say that I'm in pain. They already knew. They didn't know what to do, and it was just breaking them. So when I was with my partner, all of that 33 years of repressed pain came out in that relationship. And he was on antidepressant medication and different things, and when we came together, he also drank before, like wine and things. When we came together, he stopped all the medications and wine, and I had stopped all of the, like, I had been moved. We started living together, so I wasn't being bombarded by everything I hated about myself, which gave me time to bloom and blossom in who I truly am. It felt like I was inside of this is a Doctor Who reference. It felt like I was inside of a Dalek, and he was the only one that could see me inside of the Dalek, while everybody else saw the destroy, destroy, destroy machine. I was really harmed, and because of that harm and lack of intelligence on my part throughout my youth and my, young adult and adult phase of life, I wasn't mature or intelligent enough to be able to process these things. Not until I have been in this apartment in the last year and a half or so, and I've self-isolated myself from my family, my friends, my everything. I've had complex post-traumatic stress disorder because of everything that's happened for a very long time, and I finally managed to be okay for the most part. I still have my crying spells. I still have moments where I'm panicking or my heart's beating or I get massive amounts of anxiety, or I slip into these moments of like remembering the past or seeing glimmers of different timelines, and then I snap back into this present moment and my heart shatters and breaks because it's like coming back to a body that has been in so much pain. Around 2016, a lot of really dark ritualistic things happened towards my life with him. I was having a lot of nightmares regarding aliens and entities and different things that were really, really having me be afraid. I would see dark orbs flying around our house. I would see ghosts of children and old people and like an old man that was really not a nice man in the house we had bought. And later I found out that an old man had died in that house, and that person was like not very nice to children. So whatever was going on in that house, I had picked up on it, and that anger and violence was coming through me. In moments of my pain, it found it like a shark to blood, and it popped in me, and when I wasn't, when I was okay, it would pop into him, back and forth, and sabotaging us back and forth. Now, whether it was aspects of ourself or genuinely an entity, I know it was an entity as well as aspects of ourselves, because that entity wouldn't have found us if it wasn't for the issues being present within us that shone like a light to that entity, like a moth to a flame. June 6, 2016, my life went to crap. Every morning when me and him would wake up, we had a cute little, like a sound that we would make, like a coo, kind of, like a cute hum to see if the other one's awake. And when I woke up that day, the night prior, I had had visions of people outside of our house that were chanting in robes and candles and doing horrible things. No idea why. I genuinely don't comprehend why I was seeing that. And I told him, I'm like, I keep seeing these figures moving around and doing all this stuff. And he's like, what are you talking about? There's nobody out there. We went outside and looked, and I swear I could see them standing there, but he couldn't. It was terrifying. We had a very horrible, horrible fight that night that I am unable to recall fully in detail what happened. I remember pictures, just a few, like 2 to 3 pictures of a 36 to 72 hour span of time, which culminated on June 6, 2016. And the next day when I woke up and I hummed next to him to see if he was awake, he yelled at me and said, "Why are you being annoying? What are you making a noise for? Stop it." And he got up and left to work. I was dumbfounded. That week, things got so horrible between us. So horrible. And then the following week, things got better. And the following week after that, things got worse. It was like fire and water attempting to find a balance between each other, but both kept, dousing the other one down. Or we turned into steam and just couldn't see what we were dealing with because it was just a hot sauna of passion and anger and rage and fear and pain and love. Around 2017, I think it was 2017, or maybe it could have been 2018 when we separated at that point. He had begun terrible behavior. I had begun terrible behavior, and then I started, when we went to the doctor finally and noticed that my hormone levels were close, my testosterone was close to 1,000 while my estrogen was down to like 1 or 2 points. I was basically burning from the inside out, and I got on estrogen at that point and started taking spironolactone and began transitioning. I figured the male aspect of me had gotten me far enough. Now it's time for the woman to lead the way. The emotions, the water, instead of lightning and storms and chaos and earthquakes, to do it gracefully instead, with the grace of the mother. Because the man in me needed to heal and rest. Around November 5th was the last day I saw him. His mother had come to visit, and she said something snarky in the kitchen, in the breakfast nook, while I was in the kitchen cooking and he was next to me making pancakes. We were all going to have breakfast together because she was visiting. And she said something snarky, and I swear to God, it felt like a switch flipped in me and I wasn't there, and then we're fighting. And then she's a big woman, like she's really tall and she's really like hefty and powerful in stature. And she basically put her finger in my chest and pushed me all the way into the garbage can. And I was just standing there like in shock, like what the hell is going on here right now? But I couldn't do anything. I couldn't say anything. I was just frozen. And I looked over at him and he was just watching her do this. And I thanked her. I literally thanked her. And I walked past her, went downstairs, called my parents to come pick me up, packed a bag, which was just a garbage bag with a blanket, a pillow, and some clothes. And I left. I came back the next day, and he had locked me out of the house. And I had to call the police to be able to get in to at least get some of my things, like my passport and some other clothes and things. And he had already redecorated. He had already it was like I never existed to him. And I didn't stay there because he said I wasn't welcome. And the police officer said I could stay there for 6 months because of various legal reasons, but I didn't. I couldn't put myself in that situation. I couldn't put him through it. He had made his decision. That day, I lost the love of my life. A beautiful home that I had dreamt of before I even saw it. 4 beautiful cats. All the furniture and belongings, trinkets, sentimental items, pictures, everything. Everything I had built for almost 36 years, or 37 years at that point, was gone. Locked behind a door that I couldn't walk through anymore, and he had taken my keys from my jacket, so when I went to take my keys to open the door, they were gone. And I hadn't noticed until the next day. I saw him one more time on December 31st, I think it was, 2016. And he acted like he was a complete stranger, didn't want to touch me, didn't want to talk to me, didn't want to look at me. He acted like I was gross to him, that I was broken in some way, and that he was completely justified in what he did. And which he was in his own right, I suppose. It's been now almost 3 years, and I haven't spoken to him or seen him. I have tried, but it's almost as if he doesn't exist anymore. There's no sign of him when I look anywhere, other than in my own life. I keep little trinkets of him around the house just to know that he was here and he was real. It was messed up. I spent a year living in a room that my sister had in my parents' upstairs bedroom. Me and my sister basically shared a room at the age of 36 or 37. And that room was a mess, man. That room was a mess. Like, you have no idea how stressful it was to be there. I had no sleep for over a year. I couldn't sleep anywhere because my my family has really had night owl kind of sleep schedules. So they wouldn't sleep at night, they would sleep during the day. So at night when I tried to sleep, all of them were up, and my sister had a baby. So it was just chaos constantly. 5 to 6, I think it was 6 of us living in a 2-bedroom apartment. It was horrible. I mean, it was fine when I wasn't there, but when I was there, it was terrible. There was too much. I had no room to even put my computer. I was sitting in the kitchen on a table crying my ass off for an entire year every day. Every time they saw me crying and grieving. At one point, my mom just turned up the TV so she wouldn't hear me crying anymore. My sister was yelling at me because I was shaking and crying. She's like, "What's wrong with him? What's wrong with him?" And it was the worst experiences of my life. And then they finally bought a house, and we moved to their house, and I had my own little space there, and I spent about 6 months there until I got approved for this apartment through government housing from disability and all that. And I've been getting myself back together. What I went through was horrifying, terrible, and completely an experience that shaped the intelligence, the emotional intelligence, the grace and wisdom within me now. I wouldn't be who I am now had I not experienced such betrayal and treachery, such mind-boggling, confusing experiences, such otherworldly manipulation of our experiences face to face. It was like we were playing a script, and we loved each other through the script, but we couldn't speak outside of the script. And when I finally broke free of that Dalek and realized what I am and how to do this, he's nowhere. I don't see him. I don't know how to contact him. I email him and there's nothing. And the point of all of this, okay? The point of all of this, if I can get through what I've gotten through from 1980 and the war that was occurring in the Middle East, and we moved from there to Germany, and from Germany we got moved to the United States, and the United States moving it to a different apartment every year when the lease was up, a different school, a different part of the state, a different part of the everything. all while being told to sit down and shut up and be the good child and support the family. Because I didn't matter, the family unit mattered. I mean, everybody was afraid. We were in a new country, we didn't know the language, and I was the firstborn child. I had to, carry the weight. If I can get through such treachery, such pain, such lack of compassion, I mean, really, I haven't kissed someone in a very long time. I haven't hugged or been held. I haven't had sex. I haven't been intimate. I've isolated myself. And now the world is in isolation. My mind was sick, and now there's this crown thing. My heart was blocked, and now the world is being asked to open their hearts. I didn't have a community, and now the world is becoming a community. The pain I felt has echoed through the world, and the pain I felt was an echo of the world. So I'm asking you, whatever damage you have caused or have been received, whatever pain you felt, whatever damage you've caused or received, whatever treachery, whatever betrayal, whatever you felt, one of the deepest lessons I learned through all of it was this. Is it more important for you to hold on to that pain while you are the only one that suffers as everyone else moves on in life? Or is it more worth it to realize that you really loved someone and that loving them continuously is more important than putting hatred or blame within your heart towards them or others, such as, you wronged me, so I'm going to withdraw my love from you? That's only pettiness from you. The maturity and wisdom that you have would tell you that no matter what anyone does, unconditional love means no matter what you do, I love you. Because I love myself first. And loving myself first means that I will not allow hatred within my being towards you or anyone. I choose to love you. I choose to forgive myself for all the mistakes I made, and I choose to move forward with grace and kindness. Because I intend to thrive in all the worlds. I intend to thrive with my heart open and vulnerable and saying, come what may, I will be better because of it. You have to make this decision for yourself. Is it more important for you to be petty and to hold a grudge? Because that's basically what it is. When you get to the root of this energetic issue, it is pettiness that has allowed it to continue, because at some point you want someone to pay for what happened to you. So you hold on to the pain as a checklist to say, you did this to me, so I'm holding on to this until you can do something to make me let go of this. All the while, everyone else is gone, and you're the one left holding this poison, this thing inside of you that just wants to destroy you. Call it a virus, call it an entity, or call it your own pettiness. It doesn't matter. What matters is, let it go. Even if it sticks, just be patient and let it go. Because what matters more is that you are a person of dignity and integrity, that you choose to be better. No matter what's thrown at you, no matter what's done, you choose to be better. Not just for yourself, but for the people that need you to be better. Right now, we're dealing with so many issues of control and fear and paranoia, and we don't even know if it's accurate or not. We don't know anything about it. But what we do know is how we feel regarding these situations. Look at the world like a movie. What is this movie making you feel? What is this movie inspiring you to do? This existence you're in, this world, this life, the script you're playing, these choices you're making, these choices offered to you. What are you doing? Instead of blaming others and being in fear, look at it with eyes of maturity. Be better for this. Be better because of the pain. Be better because of the fear. Don't point to fear and say, I'm scared, there's fear. Look at that fear and say, what are you showing me? How can I comfort you, fear? Fear is just energy that hasn't seen the light of source at all. In many, many, many eons. Fear is just unresolved, traumatic, emotional energy. That's all it is. It's something you haven't looked at for so long, and now it's coming back into your, line of sight, and you're like, whoa, what is that? That's the part of you ignored, because that's the part of you that kept telling you which way to go and what to do, and you didn't listen to it. You went every other which way but the way you knew to go. And now that energy that's yours is coming back into your life as fear and control and paranoia and whatever else. And it's your job to transmute that into freedom and unity and kindness and success and thriving and prosperity and health and beauty and true power within yourself and all those around you. Choose to be better for what you went through. Choose to have so much love that even in the face of fear, you show that fear love, and that fear comes to hug you because it finds comfort in you. And then you see that that fear is just a child. It's just a child scaring you to get you to be what it needs to be. What you need to be for you. Put down the blame. You know you're responsible for what you experienced, and you know that the contrast you're experiencing is from a higher power that is attempting to get you to grow up. So hold on to the innocence within you and the love you have. Take care of that inner child and the inner parents. Take care of the outside world. And please let go of the grudges and the pettiness. It is beneath you.